Have you ever felt like getting your kids to obey your instructions is an impossible task? Constant disrespectful behavior. Well, we might have missed something as parents that doesn't come from them. It might actually come from us, the parents. I call it the respect paradox. And we're going to dive deep today and try to find out what might be the underlying causes of disrespectful behavior in our kids. Is it us? Is it them? Is it their environment? Is it all of the above? Stay tuned. We're going to find out more about that right now. I call this the respect paradox because behavior in itself is viewed as something which it may not actually be. Can you guess what it is? If you guessed that behavior is a conscious act, you are right. However, behavior is predominantly unconscious. Things like walking, having conversations about familiar scenarios, doing certain activities like cooking, cleaning, driving a car are all done on autopilot. It is only when you do something new within those realms, like try to bring in a new set of skills, go to a new place, that the activity itself becomes more conscious because you have to learn something new. You have to do a process of thinking, running through different sets of information to bring out the outcome, like creating a new dish, a new recipe, like driving to a new place, like breathing in a particular fashion which is outside the automatic ways of breathing. Other bodily functions like your heartbeat, your nervous system, and your digestive system all work on autopilot. Interesting. So when it comes to disrespectful behavior, we are interacting with our children. They are learning from us by watching, hearing, feeling what we do. They are learning unconsciously from us by what we do. So if they come to you with a dilemma and you're preoccupied with something else and you dismiss or deny their claims, that might trigger in them that is the kind of pattern behavior which is appropriate for that type of scenario. Fascinating stuff, is it not? I don't want to bring any essence of blame, shame, or guilt within this. The reason I'm making this presentation is because I want to give you guys back the power to influence yourselves and your children in a really positive way that builds great communication skills, great communication pathways, not only for you guys as a family unit, but for their future family units and relationships. Now, as I said, behavior in itself is generally viewed as being a conscious act because we're present to the moment, but there are a lot of different things happening within that moment that we are not present to. So it's an unconscious act predominantly. Now, what if it was predominantly unconscious? What if it is actually just like that? Well, that means that you're on autopilot, there's a lack of control, and you might get some unwanted results. I personally have seen a lot of unwanted results. I've really wanted the kids to do certain things and they've pushed back and I've pushed back again. And when I look back at those moments, I realize that really didn't serve a purpose that I'm aligned with. The kind of purpose that I'm aligned with is cohesiveness and harmony. However, my unconscious training, which is to defend, dismiss, and deny, overrode my conscious mind's ability to solve that in a positive manner. So how do we get past this? First, we're going to look at the causes of this. Why is it like this? Interesting stuff. Now, these automatic responses, they are the replaying of things we already know. What does that mean? We can react in a negative state. So we get some bad news, or your child falls over and you just react. That's the nervous system kicking into gear and bringing out that fight, flight, freeze mechanism, hoping to solve the problem under duress. But the reality is that mechanism is more geared to a life or death situation, but it's still part of us. It's still part of who we are and what we do. Does it serve the purpose of building respect, however? No, it does not. A lot of the time, it escalates the conflict. It escalates the conflict rather than moving from dominating to soothing. It brings out emotional distress in us and our kids, and it displaces our mood. We go from being happy, loving, joyful, and peaceful into being resentful and angry, even guilt and shame as a result of that. So you've ever had a difficult conversation or a difficult scenario with your kids, and afterwards you've reflected and you go, damn, I feel so guilty about that. Why did I do that? Well, this is why. It's because we've learned it intrinsically through our experiences, and we're translating that through the different difficult times that we go through as parents. What is the antidote, you ask? Haha, well, we're going to go through that right now. And I can tell you from personal experience, both in my own world, with my partner, with other parents that I've talked to, they have the same challenges. Okay, so what's the antidote? I'm glad you asked. Let's look at that. First, what outcome do we really want from this scenario? We want to break free of the reactions. We don't want to have high conflict scenarios. We want to be free of the tether that these negative emotional experiences come with. We want to be solution focused, and to do that, we need to bring about a present state of being. We want to create what we want. We want to create what is best. And often when you're in a cataclysmic state, when you're in high emotional reactivity, either that fight, flight, or that freeze state of being, it's so difficult to do the conscious thing and to do what is best. We'll just do what our programming tells us. We'll just do what our conditioning has set us up to do. So we need to change our state of being. We need to practice being in a conscious state. We need to practice getting away from reactivity by designing a new pattern, by designing a new way of dealing with the same set of problems that we've currently got. Yes, we're not going to be avoiding our problems. We're actually going to be taking them on by finding the absolute opposite way of being, not fight, not flight, not freeze, but actually being in harmony with the drama, but being in harmony with the problem and creating a different dynamic with ourselves and our kids. That's going to lead to some freedom. And I don't mean time freedom or money freedom. I mean emotional freedom. The emotional freedom that you get when you no longer feel guilty about doing something that created a conflict. The emotional freedom that you get by overcoming displaced moods, where you let go of resentment or anger or guilt or shame. Are you starting to understand that this doesn't just work for the children? It works for yourself. It works for all relationships. I hope you are. Well, let's do that right now. Let's change our state of being. Now, you might be in one of 3 different camps. You might be on the camp that's all in. You've heard a little bit about this and you're like, yes, I want more because I know that it works. You might be completely dismissive. This guy talks absolute rubbish. Or you might be on the fence. You're not quite sure whether it's going to work for you or not. Okay, well, let's find out. We're going to change emotional states. First, I'd like you to just imagine something in your past, in the last day or two or the last week, that didn't go so well. Your child spilled something, you reacted poorly, you had a negative interaction, it sucked. What emotion does that bring up for you? For me, that kind of emotion is frustration. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take that frustration, we're going to downregulate it, we're going to bring it back to a state of peace and calm. We're not going to rationalize out of this. We're not going to use our thinking mind to get past this. We're actually going to use our physiology to lower the nervous system's reaction to frustration. And how you do that is really, really simple. I'd like you to close your eyes. I'd like you to begin breathing. Close your mouth as well. And let's go in through the nose for about a count of 4 and out through the nose for about a count of 6. And I'd like you to repeat that slowly. It looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue that tempo. And as you do so, you might find there's a bit of a struggle at the beginning. You might find that it's not really working, but keep with it. And as you keep with it, you'll notice your nervous system starts to calm down. The problem hasn't gone anywhere, but your state of being in relation to the problem is starting to dissipate. You're starting to go from being reactive and automatic to being in control and present. Now, once you find that state of calm, I'd like you to set an intention for the outcome that you'd like. Something is going to spill in the future. Something's going to get broken. The kids are going to say something nasty to you. I'd like you to set the intention for how you could actually bring about solace in those moments, where you see those moments and you go, I love this kid so damn much. And that's just them being a child. That's just them doing what kids do. And if you mean it, they're unconscious as well. And I'd like you to send love out into that space, the future space where something was broken, dropped, spilled. Keep that breathing going. If you're finding this a struggle, I want you to visualize a beautiful, warming, golden light entering into your chest, into your heart space. You can put your hand on there and feel your heart beating gently. As you continue to breathe and allow love, peace, tranquility, gratitude to enter into your heart space, you will find the problem that you are visualizing from the past is no longer a reality. Yeah, it happened, but it's no longer affecting you in the same way that it did at the time. Continue through the breath. And now I'd like you to visualize the moment in the future. The same kind of thing happens, but instead of being the punisher, the enforcer, you're actually the savior, you're the hero. You come in and you show that child the love and the peace that you now feel. And they know that they've done something wrong. And their nervous system is reacting as well. But you come in and you show them that it's going to be okay. And you show them how to reduce the effectiveness of their automatic response, their reactivity. And you soothe them and you soothe together. And then once you've soothed together, you can actually clean up that mess. You can then train and upskill. Well, how do we move the blocks from here to there without spilling or breaking? How do we eat our food without making a mess all over the place? How do we orient our body for anything? And as a result of that, that frustration is going to disappear. That frustration is going to turn into peace. It's going to turn into harmony. Now that was a little glimpse into how to change your state of being. It is really that simple. When you breathe effectively in that way, you will find a warmth come over you. It could be in different places. For me, it's my face, my tummy, and my chest. And that's how I know I'm in the right state. The other thing that I realize is that when I think about being grateful and loving, I don't have to fight for it. And that's how I know that I've got the heart-brain coherence. Try to do that as you do your daily life as well. It is a struggle. It is a struggle, at first especially. You're going to be fighting your automatic memories, your automatic conditioning, which says this can't work. And that's the limiting beliefs that you've got to overcome. And the way to do that is to change your state of being. It'll change the way that you feel. And from the way that you feel, it'll change the way that you do things. And your beliefs will come into alignment with the way that you want it to be. So when you react to a spillage or a breakage or a disagreement, that's your conditioning saying this is wrong, which could be true. It still can be wrong, but that doesn't mean that we have to react in that manner. We can still address the fact that there was a mistake made, and then we can also address a means to soothe and solve in a more effective manner. The knock-on effect for that is that they see the respect, the kids see the respect that you're showing them. They don't necessarily label it as respect. They will label it in their hearts and minds as what they call validation and acknowledgement and attention, which is the primary currencies of human beings. We all want to be validated. We don't want to be dismissed. We all want attention because attention has the essence of connection within it. And when we're connected with people that make us feel good, it feels good. So when we're connected with people and it feels bad, that's not great. But given enough repetition of that pattern, it becomes the norm. So that's what we want to get away from. We want to get away from the authoritarian way of doing things, be a bit more authoritative. The difference is one is dictative and prescriptive and there's no way out. The other one is there's boundaries, there's repercussions, and there's also the emotional connection part of it. The simple nature of this technique is, in order to maintain that state of being, maintain that state of breathing, which means you're going to have to be conscious to how you breathe. And you will drop in and out of present moment consciousness when it comes to your breath. You will. And that's totally okay. The thing is, the more you practice, the easier it will become. And in fact, that might even become your default method for how you do your day. And when you do that, you're going to think a lot more clearly. You're going to have much more insight as to what's actually going on, because when you focus inward on your breath, you're actually in control of your body. When you're in control of your body, you don't have that stress hormone whirlwind going on inside you, and you're not reacting. And when you're not reacting, you can learn. And when you learn, it feels good, and that creates memory. Memory for a new way. And that way is absolutely blissful. No, this is not magic. It's not voodoo. It's not hippie stuff. It's just physiology, managing your physiology, creating a new way inside your mind as you do so, and then living it out in the real world. So once you do your meditations of this description, write it down. Because when you come out of that state of being, your automatic ways of doing things are going to override that conscious change that you've made. It's going to lead to some potential conflict, and you will lose what you've done in terms of the memory. You will forget it, and that's how conscious thought works. We think about stuff right now, then we move on, we think about other stuff. We kind of forget what happened just prior to that. So write it down. Write it down so that you can refer back. Continue doing the breathing, continue getting your change of state of being, and continue bolstering the new way, where you actually design the way that you want to hang out with these kids, the way that you want to hang out with yourself, and the prosperity that you can get from that. You'll find too that you are so much more perceptive to what's going on in your life. You'll feel a sense of presence. You'll feel a sense of awareness that wasn't present before. The reason for that is the automatic behaviors are doing our stuff for us, kind of checked out half the time, if not more. Therefore, we're missing out on all of these different levels of beauty that are just around us that we don't really perceive as happening, but it's still happening. That might be as simple as, wow, the air smells amazing. The sky is beautiful. Look at my kids. Oh. That's a sensation that is not taught in schools, universities maybe. And it's very difficult to describe. Satisfying might be a trigger word you could use there. Absolutely fulfilling, loving, caring, nurturing, happiness, joy, freedom. Freedom to be you. Freedom to feel like you without having to deny any of the parts that you feel shame or guilt about. So when you wake up, get to breathing. Get yourself in that state. Go ahead. Teach your kids the different things that you've got to do. Don't just box tick. Don't just run through a set of things. See the purpose and the meaning. Create the structure that you want them to embody, and embody it yourself so that you can live in that moment with them together. Find that connection, find that harmony, find that fulfillment. The other thing that I want you to do is to enjoy your achievement. Now, there's billions of people on the planet. There's millions of kids as a result of those adults. So we're all living in a similar kind of dynamic. So it's so easy to see how just the small things that you do get mixed up in a massive amount of people who are doing the same kind of thing. But that doesn't make it any less special. Because that sensation, that feeling that you get from changing your internal state of being, to connecting with your kids, to rearranging a dynamic which was counterproductive and reactive previously, to making more productive, loving, nurturing, and caring, now that's something to celebrate. And that's not to say you're going to invite everyone over and have a massive party. Hey, look at me. I changed my state of being and I'm having great connections with my kids. The kind of celebrations I'm talking about are looking at yourself and saying, well done. You did it. Saying thank you to yourself for giving it a go. And not just giving it a go for the sake of giving it a go. Giving it a go and succeeding. There are a lot of fears and doubts about how we could and should live that we absorb through the everyday life. The media loves to tell us how much we should be scared about everything. Well, I want to tell you, take note of the things that you should be scared of and bolster your capacity to deal with them by bolstering your ability to change your state of being. Bolster your ability to see past the smoke screen, which is the here and now, and it's not fixed. It can change, and it can change if you wanna. It can change when you want. You don't have to wait. You can start with the change inside you. And let that vibration permeate your entire being. Let the full tingle body tingles, the heat face, the buzzing tummy overwhelm you with joy. Your nervous system won't know what hit it, but it's such a pleasurable thing. And when you celebrate, connect with those little ones. Say thank you to them too. Give them credit for their part in this. Give them credit for the joys, even the difficulties, which ultimately lead to learnings that you've been the beneficiary of. It's going to feel a bit strange for some of you, especially the ones who are like, I don't know, is this real? Even more so for the ones who are like, this doesn't work, you kidding? Yeah, well, if you've got some challenges you'd like to overturn, don't let your automatic conditioning govern you. Tell it to just take a back seat for a moment, bench it, get to changing your state. Now, I understand some of you will already know about this, and you probably don't need my help at all, and that's fine. But however, if you want to take someone else's hand and move into the next phase where you become good at this, reach out. Send me an email. Express your set of concerns. Express where you're at in your world with your parenting journey, even your own personal journey, because this works for all of it. And just say, I need a hand. And I will reach out and I will hand you my hand. And we'll get to work on overcoming those blocks, fears, doubts, shame and guilt cycles that you've got yourself stuck in. Your past has come and it's gone. It doesn't need to rule your future. You can create a different future, a much better future. Whether you believe in that or not right now, it is the truth. And in life, very few things are absolute. And it is my concerted decision that this is one of them. And it is one that you have the ability to have within your life. I too once didn't believe. And then I took a risk, I took a plunge, I put my ego on the test, I put it on the chopping block, and I let a new idea permeate, and it's paid dividends. And I want it for you too. Now, it sounds lovely and fluffy, but of course, you're retraining. So naturally, things in the future are going to come up and they're going to disrupt your beautiful, fluffy, new way of being. And what are you going to do then, right? Remember your breathing. In the beginning, it's going to be really disjunct. It's not going to be so robust and yep, boom, there it is. I kick it in and we're off and going. You're going to forget. That's totally cool. When you do remember, get back in there and go breathing. You catch yourself as often as possible. Create the new realm in your mind with your elevated emotion. Write it down. Keep reinforcing that pattern, because the more you reinforce that pattern, the more likely it is to become what you do in real life. Whatever you practice is what you'll get good at. And the more you do it, the better chance you have of making it a reality. It's just like sports. It's just like music. You got to practice in order to get good. Very simple. you're going to down-regulate your emotional response with that breathing. So that's your first point of call. When you're feeling that trigger, get back to the breath. Now, if anyone has anything that supersedes this technique, I'm open to it. Hit me up. hello@hamishyoung.com.au. That's the place to hit me up. If you got something better than this, I want to know about it so we can share it with as many people as possible. Until then, it's all about the breath. When you do this, you're going to bring attention to the present moment. You're going to down-regulate all those fears, doubts, and automatic responses that come with reactivity, and you're going to be able to get clarity. You're going to move away from automatic thought and into conscious thought. How do I really want things to go? So this is a preventative model as well as a curative model. You do it in advance of something happening, but when it happens, that's another time that you can go ahead and do the breathing. Now, you want to get creative. And if your state of stress is what's going on for you right now, it's very difficult to be creative. It's very easy to be reactive and play out an old model that gets you away if you're a dismissive type or a reactive type where you like to fight. Very easy to get like that when you're in a high state of stress. Very difficult to be creative because creativity requires a certain level of state of being, requires a certain level of appreciation, certain level of emotion. And of course, you're going to connect with the kids. Stick with them. What's going on for them? Is what they did the only thing that's going on? Is that the actual reason? The one that you assume? Most likely it's not. Most likely they want your attention because they feel a void. They feel like they're missing out on something. FOMO. They also might feel like there's an injustice in the playground, that they need someone to help soothe for them. They might not just want what it looks like they want. They might be also running an automatic response which makes them feel less than, not worthy, and they want you to help them through it. The power in this stuff. And as they get older, teach this technique to them. I teach it to my kids. I've been teaching our youngest this kind of stuff, mainly unsuccessfully because she's so young, since she was 3 years old. I teach the older girls now, they've been doing it for several years. And I, of course, have been doing it for several years as well. Ultimately, the respect paradox is about managing yourself. It's very easy to be authoritative. However, that requires a certain state of being inside. What often happens is we react and we become authoritarian, which really means you're in a high stress emotional state and you're just imposing your will onto whoever is around you. The kids, they disobey you, you react, scream, shout, tell them what to do, tell them how it is, which, if they're crossing the street and are about to get killed, is the exact way you would do it, but does that work for everyday normal things that aren't quite so life or death? So managing yourself is really, really important, because when you manage yourself, you'll be able to manage other people more effectively. These are the moments when you really want to think about how you manage yourself. This week I've had moments which didn't work, and I've had to go back to the storyboard, rewrite the story. Think, how am I going to do this into the future? Is that the narrative of reactivity that I want to play out as my kids get older? The answer is no. I want to play out a life of prosperity, love, and connection. So I've got to bring that prosperity, love, and connection to me through the meditative practice. So we see this come back over and over and over. Remember to breathe and soothe. My pain is only present, only effective as long as I allow it to be. My job is to soothe it and solve and dissolve it. That's my job. That's every parent's job. Otherwise, we project it onto whoever's around us. Is that the fate that you want for your children? To go through the generational trauma that we were passed on to by our parents and so on and so forth? Well, maybe it's time to stop that cycle. That's why understanding that behavioral patterns, a lot of them are unconscious. So we're doing this unconscious. We're doing this without really noticing we're doing it. So we get back to the breath, understand where we're at, understand where we want to be Is it peace? Is it harmony? Is it love? Is it gratitude? And then impart that pattern onto the kids. Every week, I put out a beautiful newsletter, something that I'm always extremely excited to do and really proud. Why I do it is because it's the information that I always wished I'd had. And I want to do that for people who are looking for something that isn't so clinical, that isn't just the cut and dry, isn't just the generic kind of stuff. So I write that newsletter with love. That newsletter is going to be found in the description section. Go ahead, subscribe, check out all the other newsletters that I've shared. Learn as much as you possibly can, ask questions. Hey, if you want to criticize me, go ahead, because I want to learn too. And who better to teach each other than fellow parents? Peer-to-peer teaching, that's the best way in my view. I want to hear your feedback as well. Like this video? Let me know. If you didn't like this video or you found out that I maybe could have added some other cool things in, let me know and I'll cover that in future videos. What you might be wondering is, hey, you didn't really show us how to do that meditative process so well, which is why I'm letting you know now that you can find the exact practice that I'm using in the comments, in the description. I'm going to make that video and pop it in the description. All right, that is the respect paradox. Now, if you liked what you saw and you want to see things from the child perspective, take a look at this video next.